Welcome back to Book Stage and Screen. You're here with Samantha and Gordon, and we're joined by the wonderful Laura Jane and Sarah. Welcome from F Word Films, I should say as well. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, it's great to know that there's a female, any kind of production company in the western suburbs here, but we've got yours is a predominantly female one because it's just you two as far as I know.
It is.
Yeah, wonderful. So tell us how that got started.
I'm an actor. I've been an actor for a while now, and I think after having conversations with many female artists, kind of having the same problems with characters and not really finding characters that are multi-dimensional, I just got sick of those kind of characters and projects, and I wanted to create my own, and I wanted something to call my own to create them with. So instead of just being Laura making films, I wanted to have a little studio that I could then grow with. And I approached Sarah about a feature film project that I wanted to write.
Yep.
And we had a meeting along the river in South Bank that turned from like a 10-minute meeting into a few hours or something like that. And then out of that feature film meeting, we talked about creating this production studio. And I'd wanted to do it for many years, but I was too scared to do it alone. And when Sarah kind of went, well, I'm here. And that kind of gave me the courage to actually start thinking about the process of establishing the studio.
Well, we talked to Debbie Mazias, I'm going to say that wrong, but anyway, just before, about Artist Boot Camp, and we were talking about, having someone on your side. It can be a very lonely profession. Even when you're in a play or something, it's still, once the production's done or whatever, you're off on your own again. So that's a great way to have someone there at your side, starting up a production.
Yeah, and we've faced the same sort of roadblocks in the realm of casting, because I'm an actor as well. So both of us have this similar sort of dialogue in our experience leading up to this meeting that we had together. So it's nice to be on the same team, to have the same goals as somebody, the same vision, and to work closely alongside supporting one another. Yeah.
Well, you don't want to be starting a production house with someone that's got a completely different... So that would be a waste of time.
Be interesting.
Oh, no, I don't want a...
Who came up with F Word
Yes.
Films? Who's the potty now?
That was me. I originally had a different idea for the name, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it is. And I was set on it. I was like, that's a winner. That's the one. And then I woke up like the next morning and F Word Films was in my head, and I went, oh my gosh, that's the thing. That's going to get people talking, because the F stands for female, feminist, feminism, empowering women.
To name a few.
Yes.
And so I thought, people that don't necessarily, there's a whole lot of stigma around the word feminist and feminism and what it means, and there's a lot of debate in the world about what that is. And I thought people that don't really understand feminism or agree with it, what they think it is, will go, what's this F Word Films about? So without it being about feminism or feminists or anything like that, they will be interested, hopefully, to learn more about it.
Well, it does grab your attention.
Yeah, and my mum had a bit of a shock when she found it. She was like, sorry, what is it called? I was like, I promise it's something good, Mum. So at least it starts a dialogue so that we can kind of continue that with people that might not have been interested beforehand.
Well, we have talked before, Gordon and I, about going to readings and things like that, where projects are chosen at random, and you get up and there's always more actresses than there are actors there, and the casting, and then all of a sudden it's like nearly every male has a role, and there's still 30 or 40 females sitting there, and then the female roles, you're thinking, she just came on and put a glass down and then left. That was it, and with the roles, you think they could have easily been a woman, but for whatever reason it's not being written like that. So it's good to know that there's people sort of looking out and looking to do projects to sort of change maybe the thinking.
Yeah, and how often do you find you go and watch films in the cinema, for example, that have female characters that may or may not have substance, but so often the only conversations that they have that are scripted are with men or with women talking about men.
Yes.
It's pretty rare that you have the protagonists and the main characters as a plural, that are female and that are interesting and that are relatable.
What is that thing called? I'm trying to remember
The
it.
test. That's,
Is it Brechtel?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, based on a cartoon. It was. I saw the cartoon. I mean, it's just like a one-frame cartoon about. Oh, I only watch movies if they're about, you know, a woman and they have a one-scene conversation where they're not talking about a man. And the amount of films that actually fail that test is horrific.
Depressing.
It's like, that's such a stupid low bar that is ridiculously low that you wouldn't even think, oh, well, no, there's a tiny percentage actually pass that test. Tiny.
But we have talked, like Screen Australia started Gender Matters and had put a few initiatives in last year, which was great. So
Yeah, there's some great initiatives at the moment, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, and you know, production companies like yours can hopefully, you know, if not influenced by it, then take advantage of some of the things.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm sure. Yeah, because they really are. I think they, you know, it was probably about 10 years too late, but they've actually acknowledged that there is a problem. So they're putting steps in place to sort of push it forward and make sure that females are getting not only in front but also behind and writers and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I mean, another reason I wanted to start F Word was to also empower women behind the camera, because I could only speak as an actor because I've never done much. I've done some producing and stuff, but primarily an actor for the last 9 or so years. And I was fed up with not having fantastic characters. You know, you often get cast as the male's something.
Yeah.
You know, his wife, his girlfriend, his mistress, his something. And all these male characters had such depth and such interesting journeys to go on, and the female characters just had nothing to really grab onto. But also, whenever I'm on a set, I'm surrounded by men, and there's so few opportunities to connect with other women on set, and it's such a male-dominated space. And I just remember going, I think I've worked with 1 or 2 female directors in 9 years. I've never met a female cinematographer. You know, I've all these things, and I started searching on Facebook going, you know, can anyone just recommend me some female editors, some female this, some female that, so that I can connect with them and know that they exist.
yeah,
Because they do exist.
yeah,
But they're not getting the same opportunities for whatever reason, you know. And F Word is about giving them the opportunity to work on fun, great projects with other like-minded people, because I feel like the default is to often just the default, especially in the independent film world, is to give jobs to those people that you know. Of course, like, you know, they're going to help you out and they're going to be passionate, but because most of us just know males and we work with males, the women kind of just get forgotten about. So that's why I'm on this search to find female creatives that I can work with, and then they can be the people that I know that I go to work with. And then hopefully their careers can build from there as well.
So you both were actors originally, and now you're branching off into...
Yeah, we met on a film that we were both cast in. So that's the beginning of our relationship.
That was 2 years ago, like around this time, 2 years ago. I've got all my little memories coming up on Facebook.
We started shooting on the 11th of April.
Oh my gosh,
2 years
memory.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we met on a feature film that is yet to be released. And that started the dialogue there, and we became friends, and it's just kind of the dialogue's kind of continued since then, and we often seek each other's support, and whether it's Sarah sent me an email this morning with some headshots. So
please help me pick these headshots. I don't know which one to pick.
And, you know,
something like that.
Yeah, capital letters.
But you also, I mean, you say you worked 2 years ago on a film that hasn't been released, but you've actually gone and done projects and released them. So tell us about one that you've just recently, in the last couple of months, have released.
Yeah, so our first project was a web series that we created called JB I Love You. And
so tell us who JB is.
JB
just anyone under
is an acronym. It's very secretive. It stands for Justin Bieber.
Yep.
That needs to be mentioned. And so late last year I went to Finland and did a residency at a place called Artelis, and I was writing over there. And I'd originally drafted up this piece about Justin Bieber, thinking I would maybe present it in the form of theatre at the comedy festival or something like that.
Yes.
But I had a lot of time on my hands, and I thought, you know what, I actually think this would be better suited as a web presentation. I wasn't sure what that meant at the time, but then I started scripting it, and there seemed to be some nice clean cuts that could form into small episodes.
Yeah.
So then I approached Laura and I said, hey, I've got this great idea. This is kind of the script. Just give it a skim. It's not finished yet, but tell me what you think.
Give it a skim.
And she was pretty much like, yep, love it, great, let's go. So then I spent a little bit of the time while I was overseas planning the pre-production sort of stuff, getting a team on board. And we shot in December and January 6 episodes of
2
this web
episodes a
series.
day, 3 days
Yeah.
in total, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a year 12 English oral presentation presented via a video blog.
Yeah.
I'm playing a character. Of course, I wrote the part for myself, naturally.
I'm playing the hero who saves the world.
Their work.
Yes, I wrote the part for myself. The character's called Annabelle Williams, and the presentation is about love, which then turns into love of a celebrity. In this case, it's Justin. So there's a lot of references to his behaviour and to things that have happened in his life and his relationships in the context of being a high school student dealing with a celebrity crush.
Yeah.
So,
As we all have.
we all have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everybody likes Justin Bieber, but I think it's not...
Do you like Justin Bieber?
Yeah, I do. Not as much as Annabelle does in the context of the show, but I am a fan, yeah. And actually the thing that sealed the deal, or that allowed me to acknowledge this publicly, was when my dad told me he was a fan, because it sounds silly,
thing.
but, you know, he says, you know, Justin is really good at reinventing himself.
Yeah.
And he always comes out the other side of whatever happens,
Yeah.
you know, any of the
Things.
criminal activities
Yeah,
he
there
may or may not have been involved in. We won't talk about that today, but he always comes out the other side and maintains some kind of public image that, at least for his peers, and I think in his age group and maybe in his gender, is somehow relatable.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to explore in terms of storyline. It's not groundbreaking, but it's certainly something that I experienced as a high school student.
And it's
few years
it's
ago.
different. There's lots of web series around, but actually that sort of age group is not represented as much. There's lots of millennials doing web series, but there's that sort of high school student is a bit different, a bit of a different take on web series. Yeah, which was interesting, I thought, and fresh.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, everyone's got their own little thing, and I think web series, we've talked about this before with Melbourne Web Fest as well, about how it's a great way to explore like a theme or an idea, to sort of maybe even work it out how it's going to be a bigger one.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you can see that in this. It's a beautiful little montage of a little girl, a girl that's got
a young lady.
Yeah, I'm so far removed from being year 12, I say little girl. But so you can kind of see I'm like this. Oh, it takes you back to that when it's pure love for someone that you never really can probably never meet. So I thought it was
Well, we were
nice.
secretly hoping that it would like become a viral sensation and Justin would contact us.
So the episodes were released leading up to his Australian tour dates.
Oh, very
Right.
clever.
Yeah, so his final date was, at the time that the episodes were planned, was his last Melbourne show, a day before his last
okay.
Melbourne show, but then he announced another show.
Right.
So it was nice to tee that up together.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was clever. It was
Yeah.
good marketing.
Yeah, but for us, I mean, it was interesting being our first project and attempting something that, in terms of format, was achievable
Yes.
for us to complete. The script was simple.
Yeah.
The setup was simple.
One character, one room.
Yeah, one location made things really easy. And so then once we got to the editing stage, which we were learning on the fly, mostly Laura, she taught me a few tricks, which was awesome. But
still learning.
it wasn't too overwhelming as a
Yeah.
first project. So, and it's quite nice to go, wow, we made something that didn't exist before, and now each thing that we do is going to be more challenging and a bigger and better process and project each time. And also it was awesome. We had about an 85% female cast and crew,
Ah, great.
which was very empowering for me.
Yeah.
I felt so proud of that.
Such a different dynamic on set when it's because the first day that we're on set, we had a James, who's fantastic. He was a film student, and we got him on board as a sound recordist because we weren't really sure at that stage what we were doing with that kind of element. So we had some great people involved, like Hayley Beveridge and Sarah Jo were our cinematographers. And they brought a wealth of knowledge because I really want to get behind the camera. So does Sarah. We want to learn, it's very valuable to kind of know what you're doing on a set, both in front and behind the camera. And I think as female actors as well, you have to create your own work at the moment. You have to. If there's not enough work being, and as any actor, there's not enough work for all of us. You have to create your own work. And I think if you know what to do behind the camera, you're setting yourself up.
Well, for any project, I think nowadays, there's so many people doing stuff and writing stuff. As writers, we've said this before. If you want to get noticed by any producers or anything, for you to send a script will, just pile on the pile. But if you send a link to something that's 3 or 4 minutes, then we've found that people watch it straight away. You would have read a script straight away because they'd be like this. Oh, yep, I'll get to it. Sounds really exciting. But to just give them to a link to something that they can watch, it shows them that, you can put something together. You can, there's a concept, there's an idea, there's a theme, there's a tone, there's all those things in it. I think it's a good idea.
It also gives them a heads up of where you're at.
You've got stuff to learn, but you know this, or, you're really good at this. But, with a little tweak, you might be able to do this, and it's great.
I know as an actor, if I'm going to work with someone, if I can see their previous work, it's going to determine whether or not I actually want to work with them.
Yeah.
If they're not up to a standard where I want to be involved with, especially if you're working for free, there's still like 9 years of acting, and I think I've been paid for like 3 or 4 projects, if I'm lucky. So if I'm going to be giving up my time and essentially spending my money to be a part of it because of fuel and whatever, and taking time off work, I want to make sure that I'm going to get a return of some sort because they promise credits in the, IMDb credits and footage for your show reel. But if it's unusable footage, what's the point? What's the point? You need to be able to share what you're doing. So I'm pretty rigorous now with who I work with. My standard's pretty high. I've done enough free work, so I really kind of keep that work for either our projects that we're planning or people that I already respect and know in the industry. Yeah.
Well, that's good for anyone sitting out there like this. Ooh.
But people can approach you. How do people approach you guys and say, we want to be involved? Especially if you're like a female editor and you're like,
Oh, gosh, we'd love you to approach us. We have a website, fwordfilms.com.au, and there's a contact form on there. But we've also got an email, info@fwordfilms.com.au.
You can find you on Facebook.
Oh, we're all over Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah.
All of it.
A bit behind
YouTube.
on the Twitter. YouTube, Vimeo. Yep, we're all over it. We'd love, if there's anyone listening that wants to be involved, like any female creatives of any kind, we'd love to be in contact. We're contacting, a few actors have contacted us recently with some web series ideas that they've got, and, we're mulling it over and
even scripts. I know a writer who I was talking to just the other day, and she said, hey, I've got this script, I'd love to develop it, when can we chat about it? So we're always willing to have conversations.
I think if anybody knows that you're actually passionate about it, it's not going to be something we'll get to it, or not even giving you enough respect to sort of say yes or no, we can't fit it in, or yes, I'd really like to look at it. Then you think, oh, okay, well, these are people that you want to work with. As you said, your time is worth something at some point. And you just have to say, okay, well, this sounds good. So it sounds great. The F Word Films with Laura Jane and Sarah, you can contact them, as they said, on their website. You can watch JB I Love You on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. The links are also on our, we have a projects link on our website, so you can hover over that and click on JB I Love You, and all the episodes are listed there with a bit of some behind the scenes photos and stuff like that from set.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And you've got an exciting, we'll leave telling them all about the new project.
The Sisterhood.
You looked at each other then, I'm like this, or maybe
it's incredibly new.
It's early
just
days.
Coming up with it now.
The Sisterhood is a feature film that I'm currently writing. I only came up, so I'm not sure if you've heard of the Big Pineapple. It was an initiative for film's sake, I think, for female creatives, and you had to have 4 of the key creatives had to be women.
Yep.
Anyway, I just got my very, very, very polite rejection email from them the other day, so that's totally fine. But I wasn't probably at a stage ready to really submit, but it forced me in writing the application to really kind of think about the film and where I wanted it to go. I don't know the ending yet. I don't know. I've written the first 2 scenes, which I think would work quite well as a short film, with an open ending, of course. So part of me wanted to do that to kind of raise some interest in the film and hopefully get a little bit of funding somehow for a bigger project. But also Tropfest is coming up.
Yes.
So, and I've never entered Tropfest, and I've only recently, maybe in the last year or so, been interested in filmmaking, and likewise with Sarah. So I'm actually wanting to create a similar world short film for Tropfest, which won't be the Sisterhood, but it, if it does well, then hopefully it'll gain some interest and stuff, and it'll gain some traction for the feature. But the feature is I only came up with the name when writing the application for the Big Pineapple, because I didn't have a name for it, and then I was writing about it, and all these things were all these themes were popping up, and it does follow 2 sisters in a dystopian Australia. It's actually quite similar to the Handmaid's Tale. Is that Handmaiden or Handmaiden's Tale that's coming out, the TV series? Okay. Which was, I think, originally a book. I did wonder how this world would be created, this dystopian world. But with all of the recent US politics and the current United States president and all of these things that are happening, and I think in Russia they're on the path to legalizing domestic violence. Like, all these things are kind of falling apart that women have been fighting for so long. I can see how this world could be created. So it's a dystopian Australia where women are no longer recognised as individuals or independents. So they're microchipped, they're allocated jobs, they're monitored. And these 2 sisters, their mother was taken, and they've been alone for a while now, and they're on this journey trying to find and save their mother. And the opening of the film is one of them being captured, the older one, the more resilient and strong sister being captured, and the younger sister, who's kind of like a deer in the headlights, suddenly finding herself alone and realizing that this older sister that's kept her alive, she's the only one that can do that for her sister now, and she kind of has to find her way. And
well, it sounds like you've got some great themes and
so it's
great visuals.
It's and with more stories like this coming to the forefront, I mean, you've got the Hunger Games and Divergent and all these amazing dystopian stories with lead female characters. It's challenging now to try and be unique and not copy. And of course I don't want to do that, but I'm definitely inspired by those. I'm a massive, I read all the books of Hunger Games and Divergent before the films came out, and it was so it was so amazing to be connecting to a strong female character. Who's because so often it's just the guys that get to save the world and stuff like that. So, and I want to be able to give other women that experience as well, something that they can connect with and aspire to.
Oh, great. Well, that sounds good. There's nothing wrong with it. We look forward to having you back, a repeat offender, as we say.
I hope so.
Yes, a repeat offender, and telling us all about your launch of the either crowdfunding or whatever, whichever you go.
Or your romance with Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
That's
we will
fun
keep you
as well.
updated.
Watch this space. Thank you very much.
Just waiting for his tweet. Maybe you should check your Twitter
we will.
account.
Maybe it's gone off.
Maybe it's on that.
We know that he is an avid listener of the show.
Yes.
So this
From
is
all over the world.
very
He
sneaky.
streams
Very
on
sneaky
his
coming on.
iPad. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us on Book, Stage and Screen. Congratulations on getting your production company together. It's fantastic. And your first production. Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you on your next production.
Thank
Come back
you.
and talk to us.
Lovely. Thanks.
Good. Lovely.